Hi, Jess Keys here. Today I want to touch base on how we talk about others in our lives, in our relationships, our connections, whether work, at home, how we talk about others. And the reason this has been coming up for me, because I'm going to be honest, over the years, I have had situations that have come up where I have been talked about. I'm sure that you have had situations where you have been talked about in an unfavorable way, but I've also had people talk about me in a favorable way. So there's different kinds of, I guess you would call the word encompasses like gossip, right? How are we talking about other people, relationships, things like that? Because if it's not coming from the source of the person saying it about themselves, then it is gossip. Unless you have like proof or whatever it is, but unless it's coming from that source, it's gossip, right? We could say, oh, that person's a loser. We don't even really know them, right? But we see maybe something they do and we're like, they're a loser. Or this person, has some serious issues, but we really don't know that person. Or how about the ones that we do know? Um, Boyfriends, fiancés, husbands. One thing that I really learned early on in my relationships was, how am I talking about them to others? Because other people, if you're not in a right mindset where you can say, hey, I'm not going to judge this person, I'm going to wait and see what I see before I go ahead and put it, you actually kind of change somebody's perception of somebody else by the things you say. So I remember early on in my relationship with my husband, I would get so mad at him, right? And I would need to vent to somebody, right? That's what I called it. I needed to vent to somebody. Oh my gosh. But the only time I would talk to this other person was when I was struggling in my relationship. And it just so happened that that person was also struggling with their relationship. So we would go back and forth, because I felt like somebody understood. She understood me, I understood her. So we would talk back and forth. But the perception that she had in my relationship, that it was always bad, it was always negative. And my perception of her relationship was exactly the same way as well. So I had learned over the years that how you talk about somebody, it really will influence how they look at that person or loved one that's in your life. Even a coworker, you could say, you know what, this person really frustrated me, but the only time you talk to these other people about this coworker is when they're frustrating you. I always struggled going to that one person. Now, there is one person, or maybe there's several people in your life who are really positive and uplifting. And if you went to them and talked about it, they would point out the good things, they would show you the good things. But when you are miserable and angry, misery loves company. Angst likes angst, you're going to reach out to those that are going to agree with you, because you need that validation that you're right and that person is totally wrong and they did you wrong, and however it is. But I've learned differently over the years, and in order not to ruin my relationships, I just don't talk about anybody else like that at all. And if I do mess up about that and I talk to somebody else and they find out about it, I am humble enough to say, yeah, I'm sorry, or I didn't mean it like that. I apologize it came out like that. Like, I'm really humble enough to know when I need to say, I'm sorry. And sometimes I've messed up friendships where you don't have them anymore, and that's very heartbreaking. And that was very early on. So I learned this lesson very early on in my life. Like, I don't want this to happen to me. I don't want to do this to others, because I will tell you, there is something that, if somebody is always talking about somebody else, you can rest assured that they're talking about you too. If you're talking about somebody else, rest assured they are talking about you too. The key is, how are they talking about you? Are they going to be talking about you in a positive way? Or are they going to be talking about you in a negative way? And you can't change what a person thinks or feels about you. All you can do is allow them to express themselves. I know that sounds like, no, like they shouldn't be able to, but their opinions of us, anybody's opinion of me, that's their opinion. It's really like none of my business. It's how they feel. I might step back and be like, is that true? And if I kind of am in my heart asking God, is that true? And there's some validity to that, maybe I want to change, how I'm perceived by that other person. Or if I go in my heart, I know it's not me, it doesn't ring true, then there's something going on with that other person that they need to deal with in their lives. And I just need to just send them lots of love and just be like, okay, this is yours. I respect your opinion. That's your opinion. I don't feel that same way. And be able to walk away, because what somebody else thinks of you doesn't matter unless you put value to it mattering in your life. I've had a couple of people that have come to me about their relationships, and they're wondering why their family members don't like their significant other, their spouse. And I was like, what are you saying to your family members about your significant other and spouse? If all they ever hear is, oh my God, he or she, they don't do this. They're always, they're not helpful. They're not doing what I want them to do or need to do. They're a loser. They're lazy. Like I could go on and on of what, things come up in relationships when we get frustrated. But if we're venting those things to our family, then what do you think your family's going to think about your significant other or spouse? They're going to think negatively on that person. So really how you speak to them, and if all you speak is negative and no positive, guess what? That's what they're getting. They're only hearing the negative. And because they love you, and a lot of times with families, it's a loyalty thing, they're going to be taking your side, right? It's that rare one that just steps out and says, let me judge for myself. Let me see what I'm seeing. Can it all be bad? If there's true bad, then absolutely. I mean, if anything, you should be separating your ways in your relationship so each of you can find happiness, if it truly is that bad. But a lot of times we're not looking at the good things that are in our relationships. We don't look at, like, if the bills are paid, the food is on the table, that there is love in there. It's sometimes just what's in us, this need. We feel not seen, we feel not validated, we feel unloved. And we're like, why am I feeling this way? And instead of looking inside and wondering why we're feeling this way, we look at our outside circumstances and say, well, you're not fulfilling this need and you're not giving me what I want. But in actuality, everything that you need and everything that you want is inside of you. And learning how to let go of that process, really meditate, go in your heart and let go of all of that, will show you the truth of what needs to be worked on in your life, what you need to look at in order to make your circumstances better, whether it is staying together, whether it's separating, whether it is staying at a job or leaving a job. Again, it all comes down to what's inside of us. If we're in there and we're seeking our spirit's advice and help, it will answer. God always answers. Sometimes we don't want to hear the answers, and that's why we go outside of ourselves looking for answers, trying to fill them in different ways, whether it's relationships, whether it's alcohol, drugs, it could be adrenaline junkie. There's so many different things, video games. We look outside instead of looking within. Everything that we need is inside of us. And if we look within, we can change it all. If we want to change our story, remember, this journey is yours. If you want to change it, you can. And yeah, it's an amazing journey. We get to experience whatever it is that we want, whatever it is we desire. And I hope that you want to experience all the best things in life and even better. So you have a wonderful day. I look forward to speaking with you again soon.